With multiple debuts in professional wrestling, I will discuss the key highlights of these debuts, ranging from the Hardys, the Wyatt Six, Bo Dallas, Joe Hendry, and Jacob Fatu, and even Shane McMahon. Wrestling has got cool again. Last time wrestling was this hype is when The Rock returned. Oh, when Roman was in wrestling. Well, was wrestling, not wasn't wrestling. So I'm going to break down my reasonings of these great debuts, give y'all an insider scoop and everything. But before I do this, I need y'all to subscribe to my YouTube channel, The Real MJ, TheReelMJ. And of course, a podcast, Milto NT, streaming on all platforms. All right. Like I said before, wrestling hasn't been this cool since The Rock and Roman and the Cody Rhodes story angle. And one thing about WWE or AEW or anything in regards to wrestling or sports, it's like a restaurant. It's busy season. You got specials, everything is popping, this, that, and the fourth. But WWE really hasn't been popping it late. And with The Rock and Roman not being in wrestling, or even Logan Paul not being in wrestling a lot, I think the dynamic of fun and excitement died down. But due to these debuts or rumored debuts, I think wrestling became cool again. Now I'm going to start off with the first debut that was alleged and that occurred. And that's the Hardys. Now, one thing about the Hardys, they are one of the greatest tag teams in the Attitude Era and one of the greatest tag teams of all time. So, when they were in WWE and AEW, after the Attitude Era and Ruthless Aggression Era, Hardys really wasn't treated correctly, especially Jeff. Jeff's been on multiple drugs, been in and out of trouble and everything. And I'm actually surprised that Jeff Hardy is back in TNA after that infamous Victory Road angle of him being drunk, high, fucked up, and everything. So it's really dope that both the Hardys are back in TNA. Because one thing about TNA is like, I don't know how to say it. I feel like TNA is like something you can't kill. You think you can kill it, but you can't. So people think TNA is gonna die. People is talking about WWE and AEW and all these other pro wrestling companies, New Japan Pro Wrestling, all these companies. But TNA is kind of like newer than a lot of these companies, but it's been around for like 10 to 15 years and it's still killing it. Look at wrestlers like AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, Robert Roode, Xavier Woods. They have so many alumni that came from TNA. And one thing about TNA, they can make talent. So I think with TNA and WWE doing these crossovers, we can have dream matches or nostalgic matches. Like we can have the Hardys versus the Dudleys again, since Bubba Ray frequently appears on WWE with a Legends contract. Diva is a backstage producer. We got the Rascals. We got Wesley on NXT. Then we got the other Rascals on TNA. So that'll be pretty dope. Speaking of the Hardys, former tag team and WWE champion, the late Bray Wyatt legacy lives on with the cinematic debut of the Wyatt Six. Growing up, I didn't have cable, but I went to other people's houses and remember the VHS tapes of debuts I saw. I saw the bootleg tape of Kane debuting on Raw against The Undertaker. Or it was Hell in a Cell. I don't fucking know. But it was a pretty dope ass debut because I ain't never seen no shit like that in my life. Then also I remember going to I think my cousin's house, and I remember she had a videotape that said Saint Valentine's Day Massacre, and Paul White debuted. Now, for you young people, y'all don't know who that is. But for us old heads, that's the Big Show. When the Big Show debuted, I think that was a pretty dope ass debut. He was badass. He was a giant. He was like a contemporary version of Andre the Giant, and we haven't seen that in years. And I was obsessed with pro wrestling during the time. I was obsessed with The Undertaker, The Rock, Kane, all these good wrestlers, even the NWO. So the reason of me saying that is simply because of my second point in my video. The Wyatt Six debut was very, 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 very nostalgic. It was long time storytelling. It wasn't a story that was rushed. It was developed throughout years, literally years. And this is going to be one of the hardest storylines for WWE to do, simply because of the supernatural element and kayfabe, keeping kayfabe alive. For you young people that don't know what kayfabe is basically the reality of wrestling. Meaning, if you're playing a character, you got to portray that character. So when Wyatt Six debuted last Monday on Raw, people was hyped. But hours later, due to the internet, fans exposed them being at Whataburger or some burger place, unmasked. And one thing Undertaker said in this podcast, and he's been saying for years, is again, you have to keep kayfabe alive. If you're a character, you have to stay in character. And that's why I fuck with MJF, because that dude right there stays in character. We got podcasters like JD from New York and Jim Cornette hating off the Wyatt Six. And what I mean by hating off them having no faith with them. But one thing JD from New York did say in this podcast the other day is the Wyatt Six need to be unmasked. We don't need to see them as the supernatural dark people. We need to see them as the talents, as Nikki Cross, as Dexter Loomis, as Joe Gacy, as Bo Dallas, things in that nature. It's a really cool dark gimmick because the Judgment Day, House of Black, and the Final Testament does have that, how do you say, gothic 90s emo type faction vibe. But I think that this gimmick is going to be serious. Now, I'm going to get a few critics on what I'm about to say in my notes, because this is paying homage to Bray Wyatt. But when Bray Wyatt was alive, I couldn't take his character serious because of the Firefly Funhouse. The Firefly Funhouse was literally like a horror comedy gimmick. It was like something you may see from like a 80s or 90s movie that's supposed to be scary, but it's really not. And it's supposed to be meta, kind of like Scream movies where they were a little bit funny, and then later franchises, they got a little bit more scary because it was serious. But we're living in a world now where we are seeing reboots, remakes, frequels, whatever the fuck you call it. So the Wyatt Six debut is going to be pretty dope because I feel like this cinematic masterpiece that they're showcasing and the way that they debuted is good, because I could delete that image of my head of seeing them at Whataburger or some shit like that, because the internet likes to ruin shit. But yeah, it was a really good gimmick. It was a really, really good gimmick. And I'm digging the gimmick. I'm loving the cinema and everything. The Bo versus Howdy battling his demons was a pretty awesome thing that occurred this Monday on Raw. Literally, the death of his brother made him make the faction. And I think that's influential and inspirational because he's living in his brother's shadows. And just like most famous people, people may know Bray Wyatt. People may know Tom Brady, or whoever come from a family of royalty or success. They don't look at the other brothers. Case in point, Jimmy Uso is one good example of that. when I was younger, I always thought Jimmy Uso was going to be the superstar of the Uso clan. But come to find out, after later years, Jay Uso is the talented one. Jimmy's still talented, but Jay is the most talented one. All right. So last Tuesday, a couple Tuesdays ago, we got to see the debut of Joe Hendry. Many people are saying Joe Hendry is like a Fandango type gimmick or something like that. But I really think that Joe Hendry has the entertainment level of The Rock. Meaning, when The Rock was entertaining, he used to do shit like have the Rock concert, similar to what Elias used to do. So I feel like Joe Hendry is super, super talented, and he's going to be a really big star in the company. But a lot of fans didn't know the reason of him getting eliminated within 5 to 10 seconds of him entering a match. That is simply because he got eliminated because TNA wise, he has a gimmick of him losing a lot of matches. And with long time storytelling and good creative, that's a good thing because that dude that's like a loser or keep losing, that's going to make them a better superstar. So that's gonna make Joe Hendry turn to a badass, and I just can't wait. And I remember seeing Joe Hendry in WCPW or DPW. I forgot which one, but he's really really talented. Now, the most exciting thing that occurred was the debut of Jacob Fatu. This is a guy that didn't want to be in his kinfolk, the Rock shadows, Roman Reigns shadows, Rikishi shadows, Umaga shadows. He wanted to be a bona fide street dude. This dude has been in and out of jail, but some in him, he said, by the grace of God, to paraphrase, he literally said he tried pro wrestling and he loved it. And we know wrestling scripted, fake, da 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 da. But this is a guy who could legitimately fuck you up and whoop your ass. His debut reminded me of Umaga and Brock Lesnar. He is a big ass nigga, but he can fly around the ring like Rey Mysterio. That is scary. It is literally like having an actual fucking predator like a lion or a fucking tiger attacking you. Meaning it's a big ass animal, but it could fuck you up and it can move really fast. And I like that about Jacob Fatu. He's good on the mic. He's not a crybaby ass bitch like CM Punk because I'm really not a CM Punk fan. If you have a problem with every promotion you go to, you're the problem. I feel like if Jacob Fatu went into the UFC and trained, he'll fuck some people up. I honestly think he'll fuck some people up. He'll beat the brakes off a person. This is a dude from the streets. This not no silver spoon fed babyface. This is just a legitimate man, a fucking Samoan man that's gonna fuck you up. And if Brock Lesnar was in the WWE right now, oh boy, him versus Brock would be he'll feed families. Roman versus Jacob will feed families. Jacob Fatu versus Bobby Lashley will feed families. Jacob Fatu going to UFC will feed families because he's a street dude. He may not have no MMA background, but he got that ground and pound type wrestling style, and he has that high flying wrestling style. He has endurance and agility, and he's in his late 30s. Look how big this dude is. So I'm really excited about him. But I'm going to close with this right here. Everybody is excited about Jacob Fatu. Everybody's excited about Joe Hendry. There's a lot of people rumored saying Shane McMahon may go to AEW. A lot of people may be upset about that, but it may be a good thing because Shane and Stephanie are some pretty good McMahons. I don't know too much about Linda McMahon, but we know Vince McMahon is a fucking asshole. So with a mindset that Shane McMahon have, I think that Tony Khan needs that. He needs somebody that's in the pro wrestling industry that's been from a royal fucking family of talent that know the ropes. Because Tony Khan don't know what the fuck he doing. All right, so I'm gonna close with this. Bo Dallas reminds me of Kane. Back then, when Kane debuted in WWF, he debuted with Jerry the King Lawler as his dentist. And as his dentist, he was like a weird dude. The gimmick sucked, it failed, and everything. Years later, the Kane debut came, and it was dope. He debuted as Kane. It was fucking dope. It was fucking phenomenal. And I loved it. And I think that Bo Dallas just had shitty gimmicks with the 3ME gimmick or the Bo Leave gimmick. He was just a fucking running joke. And it's similar to Jey Uso. Jey Uso was always shadow. Jey Uso was, I don't know. After a while, Jey Uso grew on me. But in 2019, CBS Sports gave Bray Wyatt comeback of the year. In 2022, hold on, my computer's been black. 2022, Bray had the best return thanks to the New York Post. Every single belt Bray Wyatt has held, he has beat Hall of Famers. He has tagged with Hall of Famers like Randy Orton. He's a 3-time world champion. And that's a lot to fill. That is a lot of shoes to fill. Bo Dallas has a lot of work to do. But I know one thing that can make him dominant, and no podcaster or nobody in the sports world or wrestling world has said this. And I'm gonna give y'all some free insight. I think what can make Bo Dallas better isn't a championship. I think what can make Bo Dallas a way better wrestler, or Uncle Howdy, whoever he's identifying these days. I think what can make him better is simply beating Roman Reigns. Now, yesterday, June 25th, Roman Reigns lost his dad in real life. Roman was devastated and everything, and it was bad. Losing a parent is a very bad thing. So Roman lost his dad in real life. And it's kind of crazy how Roman lost his dad in real life. And Roman was talking shit about Dusty Rhodes and this, that, and the fourth. WWE was exploiting Dusty Rhodes. To fast forward to that, I feel like if Bo Dallas beat Roman Reigns, it'd make him way more credible. Because when Bray Wyatt was alive, Roman Reigns tarnished Bray's momentum. Roman didn't even acknowledge Bray Wyatt's death, passing, or to even show any no respect. So I feel like with long time storytelling, Roman and Bo should face each other. Because while everybody talk about the Rhodes family with Cody and Dusty and Goldust, the Rhodes dynasty, what about Bray Wyatt's family, like Mike Rotunda, the Blackjacks? This is a legendary family itself. These are families that was wrestling during the Von Erich days. These were wrestlers that were kind of wrestling during the Guerrero days. While we had the Guerreros in the WWE, we had these guys in Florida Championship Wrestling. And I think with longtime storytelling, the Wyatt brothers like Bo and Wyndham, I think it'll be good because Roman and Bo Dallas and Bray Wyatt both came from Florida Championship Wrestling. Then when they got revamped into NXT, they were all dominant champions back then. But I feel like if Bo Dallas beats Roman and the motive is like, bro, you didn't even respect my brother when he died and you buried him. Ever since you buried him, he literally was in matches with LA Knight and other type of matches. He didn't even win a title again. He was in god awful gimmick matches with Alexa Bliss and Randy Orton. Like, you tarnish his whole entire legacy. And I think right there, that will feed families. Because that's long time storytelling right there. You can't Can't go wrong with that. That's literally long time storytelling. Like, we all worried about the Rhodes family, but at the end of the day, the Rotunda family is grieving. We lost Bray Wyatt, and even your cousin showed up and appeared for the memorial show. Roman didn't tweet. Roman didn't say anything about Bray. Roman didn't even give a shit. Now, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But at the end of the day, I think, generally speaking, this would be a good storyline between both men, because wrestlers like The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin, and many other people didn't have to have a title. Undertaker, you didn't have to have a fucking championship belt to be dominant. Again, the times that I watched WWE and WWF, the most dominant people didn't even have world titles. You can have that accomplishment of being a world champion, but beating somebody that's been a champion for 3 years, and the first person you buried on your fucking list was your brother, Bray Wyatt, that is good long time storytelling. But hey, that's just me. So if y'all like this, subscribe to the YouTube channel, because you're listening to this on YouTube, or subscribe to this and listen to this on my podcast streaming on all streaming platforms. Thank you and have a great day.